Let me tell you a tale of heroes unsung who will never fail. On this road of life, they stand so proud. Every day Saturday, let's shout it loud.
And what's going on, friends and family? What's going on? It is me all by myself, me, myself, and I. It has been a long time. I know season 4 really has become all about coffee talk. And so today I'm here to make a big announcement. And it is time for us to take coffee talk and make it its own podcast and branch it off away and move it kind of into its own category and give it its own show and take it out of Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran. The plan for coffee talk wasn't ever really for it to be a show. It was really meant to be a segment. And I really kind of wanted to use it as a way that we kind of address a lot of the issues that we had seen during seasons 1, 2, and 3 with all the different veterans and first responders that we had on throughout the seasons. You kind of just address all those different issues, homelessness, the resilience of everybody who has been able to take their, traumas and turning it into being an advocate. And that's basically kind of how we ended up finding Marie, who, as some of you do know, we have made Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. And that's why we have decided to go ahead and push this off and kind of make it its own show, because we feel that there is a lot of need for the show. And we do want to give it its due diligence. With algorithm and the way everything works, it is really hard to kind of have the two different shows together and for us to kind of reach the audience that we want to be able to reach. So that's kind of another reason why we're doing it. But before we go and talk a little bit more, I got a quick little message that I'm going to read. And just to give you guys a little bit of insight. All right, so Every Day is a Saturday isn't just a podcast, it's a mindset. A reminder that purpose isn't found, it's built one day at a time, one story at a time. I'm Bryan, a Marine veteran, storyteller, and your host. And after separating Coffee Talk into its own feed, it's time to bring back this show back to what it was always meant to be. Real conversations about discipline, resilience, identity, and rebuilding life. Whether you wore a uniform or not, here you will hear veterans from every branch, first responders, military, family members, entrepreneurs, athletes, civilians who have lived through the fire and came out stronger. These are the battles we fight after the uniform comes off: trauma, transition, leadership, purpose, and the relentless drive to build a life worth waking up for. If you're rebuilding, reinventing, or trying to become the strongest version of yourself, this show is for you. Every Day is a Saturday is back, sharper, stronger, more focused. In time, we're doing it right. New episodes every week, guys. We're going to be dropping them on Wednesdays. And, what we're going to do here is you will see, it's going to be a little bit before you actually see it. But what you're going to see already, though, is we already did break off. And if you would like to stay with Every Day is a Saturday USMC veteran, please do. I would love you guys to. But if you guys also would like to check out Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie, you could easily now search for Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. Now, you may still find it intertwined with Every Day is a Saturday, but it does have its own logo and everything else. You'll see it because it is Marie and myself. It is kind of like I would say like AI version of us. Let me see if I have it in here or not. I don't know if I've actually pulled it up or not. I don't think I have. But anyhow, Well, maybe I could pull it up here so you guys can actually see it for yourself. Now go over to Spotify if you can. And like I said, put in, you know, Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie, and you should be able to find it. We are right now. We're in Apple, uh, Spotify, and I'm just getting ready to add us onto YouTube, so you guys will be able to watch it on YouTube as well. And now with Every Day's a Saturday USMC, I am once again starting to look for guests that want to come on and be a part of the show. Please email me at everydaysasaturday365@yahoo.com. I am actually working on a calendar for the show this time as well. Saw how beneficial it was for us to have a calendar, thanks to Marie, who set up a calendar for Coffee Talk. So if you also want to be a part of Coffee Talk, you can go over to sliderbabe.com and get on the calendar over there for that show. Now, for Every Day is a Saturday USMC veteran, what we're going to concentrate a little bit more in depth is the stories of their military, experiences. Same thing with, first responders while they were serving, doing their time. That sound like they're in jail or something, right? But why they were serving, and I want to spend a little bit more time there, and we do want to talk about that transition of what it was like when they got out, and what are they up to now. What kind of makes the difference between Every Day is a Saturday and Coffee Talk? Now, Coffee Talk is going to be concentrating a little bit more on the mental health side and the healing out loud aspect of that. So what you're going to be seeing is people that have really probably hit their rock bottom and gone through addictions and things of that, and were able to bounce back. As to where more on the Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran podcast, you will get more of the military experience, and we'll get back to our grassroots where this show all started from. And, each season we kind of started off and did a segment, and I don't think that I've done the show due diligence by doing that, and I've hurt myself by doing it. And that's just because, hey, I'm new to the game of podcasting. Yes, I'm 3.5 years into it, but I still am learning, right? And I was learning when I began this whole thing. And now that I am, a little bit more seasoned, I'm starting to learn that there's a better way that we can do this. And that way, maybe we can, get into more of who we are. And I do want to apologize for those that maybe who were here for Every Day is a Saturday USMC veteran, and you didn't want to see as much of the mental health side, and you were looking for more of that military side. We did try to kind of combine the two, but I do want to make a big distinct difference between the two. And I do think that a lot of people were kind of getting confused by the two different names as well. So some of the people that wanted to find Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie were getting confused by the name Every Day is a Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast. And like I said, once again, and I know I'm beating the dead horse, but the show was always meant to be just a segment. And now that I feel like we're at that level where we can branch off, it's time to. It's the reason why I've always been hesitant to do it is, for one, I didn't really know if there, how far of a future we were. When her and I first talked, it was more of us. We were going to kind of tell our story, and that was kind of going to be the end of it. But around, I don't know, a couple episodes into it, she had recommended, hey, maybe we start bringing folks on. And then, that's kind of how the whole thing kind of transpired and grew into its own show. But yeah, like I said, there's a couple people that I have talked to, and they have seemed to be a little bit of confusion on how they find the actual Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. So that is a big reason as to why we're doing the separation as well. And, it just gives us a little bit more flexibility to do different things with the show. And with, like I said, algorithms and things like that, you really have to, you can't be sitting here intertwining things. And I've learned that now as I'm going. And I did see a big number drop in terms of not necessarily the listens, but in terms of gaining new followers. So what that kind of told me is that I was a stalemate and kind of in the algorithm world. and that it was kind of slowing things down, and we weren't really gaining the numbers that we would like to see. I had set goals for every season to kind of obtain the goals, and this was my first season where I am coming up significantly short on my goal. I want to say I'm about 80 or so listeners off, and we're already almost towards the end. And just so anybody, if you are new here and you are listening for the first time, go back and listen to all the great interviews. You will see that I have come a long way in this podcast world. I legitimately started off with my gaming headset and my cell phone, and just really took a liking to it. And I'd always decided to make this a better show. So that's, what we're doing. And, we're going to kick this off as soon as we can get a couple interviews in the bank. I like to at least kind of have 3 to fall back on. So like I said, right now I am looking for people to have on this show and to come and talk about their military experience, what getting out was like for you and what you're up to today. That's really, what we're looking for. And we want to have some of those fun stories, some of those fun military stories that, that no one hears, and just some of the fun side of it. And, I think with this podcast, we've always kind of want to have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, we need to sit there and polish a turd or nothing. We just let it stink if it stinks and let it shine if it shines, so to speak. But I hope you guys have enjoyed us up to this point. I know, in terms of podcasting, I've put out a lot of different shows. I've asked a lot of you to follow my shows. I really do appreciate all of you that have had the patience with me throughout this journey, and you continue to follow my shows and support the show. I really appreciate it. There are going to be some really cool things to come from this. I think that, 2026 hit me really hard. I really wasn't expecting for 2026 to kind of turn out the way that it had turned out for me. I moving from LA County to San Diego County was a big slap in my face because it just wasn't a smooth transition getting from Lancaster down south. It really was a hard transition, and it took me some time to get myself back on. And as any of you that have been watching or following the show long enough, there was a little hiatus there, at the beginning. There was a lot of hopes for the show, and that's another reason too why Every Day's a Saturday kind of took the back seat. If there was no Marie, I don't know where I would have been with the podcast in general at that point in time. I probably would have kept rocking with Every Day's a Saturday, but I think that she was able to keep the wind in my sail, and at least we were able to kind of maintain and keep Coffee Talk afloat. And so that's why there has been so much more focus for season 4 on Coffee Talk. And all of a sudden, you guys just stopped seeing interviews on Every Day's a Saturday, USMC veteran. But that's going to change. And I'm really hoping that we get this going hopefully by September, if not sooner. It depends on how soon I can get new interviews. I'm sure if I was to hunt down a couple of folks, I could probably get this moving pretty fast. I do got to make sure. I do know in terms of Coffee Talk, we are extremely booked out. I think until January or February of next year, we have that many guests, which is amazing. So I do got to make sure that I guess that I'm scheduling right so that I'm not stepping on toes between the two different shows. Separating the two different shows, there's a lot of good for it. There's some cons as well. The cons really are only really just the fact that it's one, it's kind of like you're starting all over again. That is hard, and it's trying to filter everybody over to that side that wants to hear coffee talk with Bryan and Marie, because there might be some people that are in this listening category that wanted to hear more of the Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran side. Which, hey, I mean, I think that everybody has their own taste in what they want to hear. I think when it does come to mental health advocacy and stuff like that, you got to be in the mood for it. Not all the time does everybody want to kind of live in mental health realm. So sometimes maybe you want to hear some different stories and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's just a lot of good. There are a couple cons, like it's going to make it a little bit more work on the producer, me self production, where I have more places to like have to go down low to and put out to. But you know what? It's what I get paid to do. When you're a disabled veteran, you get paid to do pretty much whatever you want to do within your capabilities and liabilities or whatever. Well, another thing I want to say is back to the buddy checks. This is a message directly to you, my listener, my friends, and maybe my family members, whoever may be listening to it. But hey, if you're really struggling out there, please don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out to friends, family. There's the crisis lifeline, 988 press 1 if you're a veteran. You can call that or talk to that as well if you're not a veteran, but it's disheartening to keep hearing stories of brothers and sisters taking their own life due to their inner demons. And I saw a video today from a wife that's a wife of a combat veteran, and her message was to all combat veteran wives out there: where are you? I wouldn't, know who's been through it. Something that she mentioned that is very true is that a lot of us that already joined with trauma going into the military. And so for us to be thrown into traumatic situations, we were just sandwiching on more traumatic things and things that we just continuously were taught to kind of suppress and keep down. So I know it's hard. I know it's hard to talk to people. I know it's hard to trust people with the way you feel. But there's people like me. I don't hold judgment on folks. That's not for me to do. I'm here to listen. Do I have resources to help you? Nah, I'm not a rich person. I don't get paid to do this. A lot of people think podcasters, we make money or something. Nah, no, we just put in our time and don't make money out of it. And my reward is getting these stories out and hopefully putting them in front of the right people, saving a life of a young person that may be struggling in their 20s. Because that's where it all began for me. I got out when I was 23 years old. I was turning 23, and I didn't think nothing was wrong with me. I didn't even know what PTSD was. So I know that I struggled a lot with things. There was a lot of things that I just was not understanding that was going on, and I would hear about things, right? And I know times are different now. Times are way different. And that's why I think it's a blessing that we have these podcasts and things out there, because we are now able to have way more awareness. Because in 2004, there really wasn't a lot of awareness for us. We all, I don't know. I mean, I've heard shell shock and things like that, but you're not thinking at 20 years old, that you have something going on. and then to top it all off, there's all these things that you had happen to you in your childhood years that were traumatic or left some kind of an impression on you that you just never dealt with, and then it brings rear its ugly face later on. So I just hope that with these podcasts, with people just having the ability to talk about it, and it makes others feel the ability and comfortable to have that, ability to talk about something, as well as maybe that story resonates with someone and where they're like, man, that story really just hits home and really brings back memories that I didn't deal with. Because I tell you what, to be quite honest with you guys, podcasting has saved my life probably in more ways than not, in terms of being able to learn things that I probably wouldn't have never knew if I didn't talk to these other people about it or heard their stories. I can't think of how many times I've had guests on the show and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that story just reminds me of something that I went through. And you'll be damned how many times we go through something in our life and we just throw it back there and just forget about it. Then there's some story out there or something that someone says, and then it like releases or opens that trap door. So what I guess I'm trying to say, and I know I always talk a lot, is that I hope these stories end up reaching the right people at some point in time in life. The great thing about when we record or we put these things out, they're out there for everybody to see forever. And it's important that we get everybody's story out, and for everybody to understand that your story matters, whether you deployed or whether you didn't deploy. And I need that to be very understood, that that's not a criteria for this show. You don't need to be a war hero, some glamorous person that did all this high and mighty stuff in the military. I'm not necessarily looking for all that. I want your story, whether it's you got the Medal of Honor or you're just somebody that walked out as a PFC because you had a shit time and you got busted down a couple times, whatever. Your story still matters. I am all about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't want to fluff something up. I want to give it the real deal, Holyfield effect. This is what it looks like, right? Because the only way we could even fix things too is we got to call it out when it's ugly. We got to call it out if it's wrong. I'm a very much a fact over feeling kind of person. So let's just provide facts and fuck your feelings. And if that's too harsh for you, I'm probably not your cup of tea, right? No, I really, one thing you're going to learn about our show on both sides is that we're very raw and unfiltered. And a lot of our stories are very like, woo, and I want everybody to feel comfortable to tell their stories. So I will never judge you on your story. I will never bash you on your story. Your story is your story. And some people, think that like there's some kind of a rating on whose story is worse than whose. I'll tell you what, your story or your worst nightmare is your story, your worst nightmare. That was your experience. So for you as a person, that could be the worst thing ever you experience, and that is okay. Someone else got their arm bit off by a shark, you know what I mean? And they got their own story. That's their worst traumatic story. in life. But there's no one that's like, wow, that person got their arm bit off by a shark. Their story outweighs this person's. It don't. All stories matter. And like I said, you never know who could be hearing your story and can gain from that and benefit from that part. So back to Every Day is Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast. We are excited that we are going to relaunch it. Like I said, we don't have a firm date on when it will be launched, but I promise you, I will keep you guys up to speed as soon as I start recording with some guests. That will give me a little bit of a gauge on when I want to start. Now, my thoughts are is we could start I'm hoping around maybe September. So right now we're in July. I'm thinking maybe around September I should maybe have a couple interviews done, hopefully by then. And if not, what may happen is I may just come on here to kind of keep this going and make sure everybody remembers me, because I know if I freaking don't post weekly or something, you're going to forget and move on to the next show. But we'll make sure we kind of keep this alive. But there's even a possibility that this doesn't even start till January 9th of 2026. I mean, 2027, sorry. So it's all based on what happens. If we end up getting some guests on, there's some people that had reached out to me and I had just kind of pushed them off over to the Coffee Talk side. Now I may kind of do dual. Some of the people that you've seen in Coffee Talk, you may see their more in-depth story about their military situations. But because Coffee Talk is dropping every Monday, and I'm not gonna switch that up, I likely will do Wednesdays for Every Day's a Saturday. And then what we're gonna do is on Saturdays, right now we drop Coffee Talk at 9. And then we'll drop Every Day's a Saturday on Saturdays as well. This is on the Facebook side and YouTube side. Sorry, guys. But we'll make sure that we have a time slot for Every Day's a Saturday as well. So that way, if you guys like going on to Facebook or even YouTube, you'll have the ability to watch it live. And a lot of times we'll try to have the guest or ourselves show up and be in the comments. We are starting to look at doing live shows. That's more on the Coffee Talk side. And so Coffee Talk will kind of keep its origin. It's same drop is every Monday. You'll get a new episode. On the audio side, we drop episodes at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Mondays. And then on Saturdays at 09 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do the live Facebook and YouTube for Coffee Talk. But like I said, once we get some recordings going for Every Day's a Saturday, we'll have a firm schedule for that. I don't know if I really covered much of this, but part of me being in the crossroads of this whole thing and kind of deciding whether I want to move forward with it, because I think I've kind of reached that point where a lot of podcasters probably start to hit that point where they're like, what do I do? Do I keep moving? What do we keep doing? And all roads lead to, I should keep this going. It's just, I got to do better at pushing it out there more, right? Because that's the environment we live in. These things don't push themselves out. You got to be your own marketer. You got to be your own person pushing it all out there. Because of life, I can make a lot of excuses up. I wasn't really, able to put my time and effort into this as much as I wanted to or needed to really to keep it growing. So that is going to be my focus. Now that life has gotten way more stable, thank God. And maybe I shouldn't be telling the world I'm stable or something. Like, I'm not looking for any more instability in my life. But hopefully now, like I said, we can put a little bit more effort and dedication into the show. spruce it up a little bit. You know, I don't know if you guys remember when you guys first started watching this show. If you guys are really, I mean, man, I wish I could know whether I have some real OGs watching this, because if you guys were watching this from the beginning, you guys would have watched me make a fool out of myself, because I started every single podcast with me basically dancing. So if you're on the audio side, you ain't seeing this, but I'm dancing. Because you know what? Hey, I just show everybody you can be goofy, you can be funny, just be yourself. That's one of the most important things to life, is learn to love and appreciate yourself. And you know what? If you can dance out a beat like me, go for it. Yeah. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, amazing week out there. Remember how we say, don't let the day kick your ass. And I'm excited that we're going to be back. And go give Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie a follow. And I love y'all. We'll see you guys. Let's go.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.